Okie doke. All right, well, I'm not feeling 100% today because I got one of those shots yesterday, and you might feel down for a couple of days. I'm like, at least my arm's not falling off, so it's okay. There's this thing called a wedding coming up in a week, and I kind of have to try to make sure I stay good and healthy. So make sure you guys wipe off your stuff before you leave. That'll help keep you healthy, me healthy, and my wife won't, want to destroy anybody, okay? All right, so anyway, I'll do the best I can. That's why we're here. So the other day we went over AutoCAD. Make sure that I turn on the record. All right, I'm recording. I turned on my mic, and it looks like I'm sharing. Okie doke. So we went over chapter 1, and I went over all the commands. And if you didn't hang around, that's okay. There's a video here where you can see whatever you might have missed, or if you want to go back and re-look over it. I did mention that on the videos that are on there, those are not mine, the ones that are on the assignments, or most of them aren't. The print tutorial, if you did it, I'm going to do it a different way in class, but either way, as long as you did it and turned in a PDF file of it, we're good. Now, I'm going to say this now, and hopefully I don't have to say it again. You are only turning in one PDF assignment. Everything else from now on is going to be some kind of AutoCAD file. Mostly, remember we talked about .dwg as in George? That's the one. Now, there's one file in chapter 4, well, 3, 4, whatever, where we're going to make a template file. That's a DWT. And then I have people keep trying to send me those. But one PDF. Why do I say that? Because it's just like the warnings on all things. Somebody did it, so now we have to put a disclaimer on there. Hey, by the way, don't do this. Do not stick your fingers together with super glue and expect them to come apart. Don't lick a frozen flagpole unless you want to lose part of your tongue. Don't play with a BB gun or you might shoot your eye out. Anyway, it's all good. Okay, so like I said, not 100%, but I'll work through it. And those that come in later, I'll make sure to go back and check on, make sure I mark you here, not late or absent or whatever. Okay, so we went over all of these, normally I do the print tutorial while we're going through the chapter 2 stuff, but I don't know, I guess I did it differently this time. And I think, I don't know, I'm not sure how, I have to go back and look at last semester, and you know what, every class is different, and so everybody moves at a different pace. Some of you guys, I mean, I got one guy on my online class is asking me questions about chapter 8, and I'm like, I'm not there, man. I got 10,000 things to grade. So, but I'll get there, I'll answer his question, and we'll figure it out. The funny thing is if you let people simmer on things, sometimes they'll figure it out themselves. You know, you might learn something when you do that. And so that's why I don't respond like it's a wildfire and try to, you know, unless it's something that it just depends. Anyway, sometimes, you know, you have to let things simmer because it's not necessarily a dumb question, but it might be something that isn't that hard to figure out. And if you figured it out, hey, cool. It saves me from having to do it. It's not that I don't care. It's just I, you know, have stuff I have to take care of too. Anyway, sorry, we'll move along. So we're in AutoCAD. We went through the commands. Like I said the other day, I didn't do the print tutorial. But if you'll follow along with me in AutoCAD, we'll do the print tutorial together, and I'll show you how they do it in the book. Like I said, if you do it the way my video shows it that I have on there, that's fine. Eventually, I'm going to redo that because I found that it's not that big a deal to do it like they do in the book. So, anyway. All right, so like I said, Chapter 2 is the longest chapter. And one of the things that I like about this book is that not only do we talk about printing, which you should have an idea how to do that, whether it's physically printing it on a printer or creating an electronic version of it, that you can send to somebody just as easily, because a lot of times that's how we communicate our drawings. Okay, so the other day we talked about the fact that when you go over here, we're going to go to New. Now, if I click on New, if I hover over it before I click on it, it's going to tell me what template it's going to use. The ironic thing is when I'm like, I go through, I grade y'all's templates, and then I'll go to make my own drawing, and I'll just click on New out of habit, and somebody else's template pops up to start with. I'm like, oh, well, that must have been the last one I graded on whatever computer I'm on. So the last template that you used will be the one that will automatically default. Your computer that you're logged into will default to that template. So far, I've only used AutoCAD.dwt, so that's the one it's going to use. Now, after we create our template, when I click on New, it's going to use my template. I'll show you how we can go find it when we get to that point. Anyway, so just make sure that if you hover over, before you hit New, hover over it, make sure it says acad.dwt. If it doesn't, then you would go to the little down arrow here, and it gives you some options like, this is one of my templates, this is a test one, I guess, and then this is the default one that we're going to use. Now, you can also click on Browse Templates if you didn't see what you were looking for in your list, and it would give you a list of these. Now, the funny thing is I think last fall I used 2024. In the spring, who knows? Half the time, I don't remember which version I'm on because I'll open a drawing and it'll open up to 2024 instead of 2025 because that's what it thinks it needs to do. So anyway, but 24, 25, and even 26 look a lot alike, or should, and they all function the same way. So ACAD is the one I need to use. So I'm going to, sorry for the long explanation. Now, the other day we talked about the fact that I have these, the layer tool palette up, and I have property tool palette up. Now, the reason that I have them up, and you don't have to, but the reason I do is because obviously I use them a lot. Okay, so I don't have to close them out. They can just hang out there and, you know, be there to use. So anyway, so the printing tutorial, one of the reasons like I said, I like this book is most people don't know how to print from this model space. They can print from, they get over when we have a piece of paper that you put your drawing on. They're like, oh, well, I can print from there. That's no problem. Or the book might go through how to do that. But it doesn't explain how you can print from here. What if you just wanted to draw something up and, you know, just print it real quick so that you could go make it or send it to a friend or something. And you want to send them a PDF, or, you know, you didn't want to just take a snip of it and put it on a Word document or hope that the picture file was clear enough. You wanted it to be nice and clear because you can do that through AutoCAD and PDF. Pretty much anybody can open a PDF file, hopefully. But anyway, so on 2-45 is where the printing tutorial starts. Now, a couple of pages before that, she kind of talks about, you know, printing and, you know, there's different parts of it. But anyway, we're just going to do the tutorial, okay? All right, so I've started off with a new drawing. Remember we talked about limits, right? So yes, the units do matter as far as you need to think about how big of an area do you need to have open to use. Well, she says, let's set up our limits. Okay, that's smart. So she's using a metric drawing, so limits definitely need to be changed. So we're going to go to limits, type in limits, and the first thing that pops up down there in your little command line, Thomas, you just want the ACAD one, the one that says ACAD by itself, and then hit OK or open or use or whatever. Okay. So has everybody got a drawing open that's going to go through all this? Okay. If you don't, and you want help, ask. Remember, I don't read minds. I just happen to can see his screen. That's all. Not being nosy, just trying to be helpful. Okay, so anyway, the bottom one is always 0, 0. So we're in limits. Bottom one 0, 0. We hit enter. Or what's the other button you can hit? Did I remember from the other day? Spacebar. The space bar. Very good. Very good. So we're going to use the space bar as an enter key. We got the enter key, 2 enter keys, right? We got one over there on the misplaced keypad. So you think about it. You got your hand on the mouse, and then you have to take your hand off the mouse to type in numbers on the keypad. How ergonomic is that? It's not, but it's a right-handed world. So people think they have to use their right hand to do that. I guess being a left-hander, and I just adapt and overcome, I don't know. But the way I learned how to use AutoCAD, like I told you last time, was my left hand is on the keyboard, my right hand is on the mouse. If you keep your hand on the mouse, what you'll notice, if mine messes up here, I take my hand off the mouse. If the mouse moves, stuff happens sometimes that you don't want. So it's helpful if you can try to figure out how to use both hands. So I use the numbers at the top of the keyboard a lot of times. I might reach over and type on the keypad, but the upper part, you know, the numbers at the top of the keyboard are pretty easy to smack too. So anyway, so limits. She says we're going to do our upper limit. It says 12 by 9. Obviously, we need bigger. So she says put in 297, comma 210. And you have to put it in that way so that AutoCAD knows you're putting in an X and Y coordinate. Remember we talked about coordinates last time. All right, and then we're going to hit enter. Because every time you type something in, you must hit the enter key. Now, one of your other options for enter is the right clicking of the mouse. Depending on how you have your mouse set up, it may pop up a little mini menu that has enter and some other stuff, and you click enter there. So, or if you're like me, I try to have mine set up to where while I'm in a command, if I right click, it automatically does enter, and I'll show you guys how you can mess with that later on. All right, so, and I apologize, I'm going really slow. Maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. All right, so upper corner, I did that. Now, what she doesn't tell you to do is to zoom all or zoom extents. Because what's going to happen is if I do the next thing on the directions and draw a rectangle, then it's going to go out of my view, and for some people that causes heartburn. Is that sarcasm? Not really. I'm just saying it's okay, because that happens to people and they're like, oh no. Yes.
It actually does say do zoom all.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it does it right away, so anyway, that's fine. Well, I'm just emphasizing that once you set your limits, the automatic next thing before you do anything else, before you pass go, should be zoom all or zoom extents. All right, so anyway, we don't worry about this world coordinate system thing. I don't know why that's a part of this. I don't know, because honestly, that's more advanced and we don't care. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to move down to step 7. Says turn your object snap on and your dynamic input. Turn your off. No, we are not going to turn our dynamic input off. Well, I mean, we can if we want to. Hopefully you turned yours on. Of course, now I have a question, and let's see what the peanut gallery wants.
Sorry, is this that I thought your screen was frozen because I heard clicking and it wasn't changing, but apparently it's not.
Oh.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. It's fine. Okay, so no, I'm just running a little slower pace today because that's just how I feel today. It's okay. So I apologize for any sarcasm and whatever comes through. It's just, yeah. Maybe I need more coffee.
I can always use more coffee.
Yeah, true.
What page are you on?
I'm on 2-45 in the book. Sorry. So the pre-tutorial starts on 2-45. So far, so why do you think she's telling you to turn off the object snap and the dynamic? What did we talk about the other day about dynamic? And then, you know, the Jeopardy music comes on, and then they're searching their memory banks because they really don't know, and it's okay. So dynamic, you're like, I don't even know what the icon looks like. Well, we didn't really say. All he did is he went over here to these three lines down here, and he made sure that dynamic input thing was checked. So you have to make sure it's, bless you, checked. And it looks like a little battery with a plus down there at the bottom. In your status bar down there, remember we talked about object snaps and polar and no tracking and that dumb not OSnap, Ortho, the one that I don't like. And of course, Snap and the grid and all that fun stuff. So the little thing down there so she says turn it off. All right, well, I guess we'll see why she wants us to turn it off. So I'm going to turn dynamic off after I do a bunch of other stuff. Put that off. And then the other one she says to turn off is Object Snap. Now, I have issues with turning these off, but probably it's because she hasn't changed the tutorial in 30 years. And that's okay. Well, not that long, because I think Dynamic came in maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And the reason that we use Dynamic is because when Dynamic is on, stuff shows up at your tooltip on your mouse. So now nothing's going to show up, which I really don't like. And then everything is absolute. So how do you make things relative? What's that little symbol that you have to put down in front? The at symbol. Yes. Shift 2 to your at symbol. Makes everything relative. Now, when Dynamic is on, everything is relative except for the first point. Remember, the first point is always absolute no matter what. It's okay if you got that in your memory banks or don't. Okay, so we're going to draw a rectangle. And I did what she said. I turned Dynamic off. I turned off the goofy OSnap. That just means that it's not going to hook on to anything automatically. If I want to hook on, I have to do what? I have to use Shift right click to get a list, or I have to type it in. Like if I want endpoint, I type in END. If I want intersection, I type in INT. If I want midpoint, MID, etc. And if you want a list of those, we can get that figured out. All right, so moving along. I don't remember if I zoomed all or not, so I'm going to do a zoom all. I don't know where she says that. It may be on the next page. But anyway, you should always do that first before you go draw anything. So she wants us to start off at 0, 0. So I went into the rectangle command. I'm going to type in 0, 0, which doesn't matter if I have Dynamic off or on because the first point is always absolute, period. All right, now she says, I want to go 297, 210. Okay, well, let me throw this at you. That is an absolute coordinate, but it is also relative. Because if you start at 0, 0, and you go 297 by 210, it's the same spot. Right, wrap that around your brain. So if you start from 0, 0, yes, it's relative, but it's also absolute. Okay? In this case. Now, part of the reason she's telling us to use, honestly, I don't know why. Because if you draw a circle, what you're going to do, now the only thing would be is if you gave an absolute coordinate where you want to move it to later, which we're going to do, then you'd have to turn off Dynamic. But otherwise, the first point when you draw anything is absolute. So anyway, moving along. Like I said, I apologize. I'm going really slow. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Or maybe you get lost. We'll see. I think Evan wants me to go faster. Just kidding. Anyway. All right, moving along. So you got your rectangle. She says type in 297, 210. All right. Now the only reason that it showed up all the way on my screen is because I did a zoom all. Now we turn the page. She probably says zoom all. Oh look, she says zoom all. Well, why didn't you do that to begin with? Like I said, why cause you stress? Why can't I see the whole thing? Oh, wait a minute. Now I got to do the zoom on. Anyway. All right, moving along, we're going to draw a circle that has a radius of 50 and it's located at 350, 100. Don't worry, the circle will be off your paper. Will it? Let's see. I need to go up. I'm going to go up here. Now, it says radius. So a radius circle, that's what the default, if you just hit C, enter, that gets you a radius circle. I'm going to use the ribbon and click on, make sure this is on radius, which it is. Click on radius. And then she says, type in 350, 350, comma, 100. And then 50 is the radius, which we're on radius, so we'll do 50. Well, so 297 by 210 is what the limits were set to, okay? So that's what she means by the circle is off your, because technically the limits that you gave or the area you gave to use was the size of our paper, let's say. And that's, we drew a piece of paper on here, a metric piece of paper. But if I remember right, I think that's the same as 8.5 by 11, but we can go back and check the math. If you want to figure it out, all you got to do is divide by 25.4, the 297 and the 210, and that'll tell you what it is in inches. So anyway, let's see. So what else we got here? So then she says, zoom all again. Well, I'm already zoomed all, zoomed extents or zoomed something. So I can see everything. Then she says, save it. That's a good idea. Because, you know, the other day, what happened to me? Computer said, I don't know what happened. I hit a button and it didn't like it. So, oh well. So let's save it while we're at it. So you've got options up here. You've got a save button and a save as button. Well, the first time that you save something, it will go to save as for you. If I needed to save this, I already had it saved, and I wanted to call it something else, like when you guys go from chapter 4 drawing to using that chapter 4 drawing in chapter 8. Well, instead of just opening the chapter 4 drawing and doing the stuff for chapter 8 and turning it back in, you can do a save as and save it as 8-1, 2, 3, whatever. And then, you know, the way I have the template set up, if you do it the way I do it, then the file name will be, if you do it right, the name of your file that you name it will show up as your drawing name, which is what we want. And that's just a little shortcut thing that I like to do. All right, moving back to this. We have a box or a rectangle and we have a circle. Real awesome, right? Like I said, my video on this may go a little different, and that's okay. All right, so I need to save this because I didn't do it, and I went off on a tangent. So I'm going to hit save. It says save drawing as. Now, remember we talked about file management, and my student who saved it as drawing 1, drawing 2, drawing 16, drawing 32, and then, you know, did it by the date. Not a good plan. She's laughing from up there now. Anyway, so what are we doing? We're doing the print tutorial. So I'm just going to call it print-tut. Now you'll notice that mine already has a print tut. So you do not have to put the date. Okay, disclaimer, you don't have to put the date on it, but I will probably always put whatever today's date is on the file, just so that I don't get this, hey, you've already saved this. And that also tells me when I did it, so if I wanted to pull that file up as an example or something, I can. All right, so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna put today's date. If you want to put today's date, you're welcome to do it. If you want to put your initials on it, you're welcome to do that as well. Whatever works for you for file management. That's the important part. All right, so I'm going to hit save. And now it's saved. So the next time that I want to save it, all I have to do is hit Control S which is pretty easy to do, or I can hit the little diskette up there that says save. I'm not going to do save as. I'm going to do save because I just want to keep saving it. All right, moving along. So she says to go look for print. So there's different places you can find it. Remember I showed you how to turn on the shortcuts here? So you got the little down arrow next to this quick access toolbar, and you've got, yours would say show menu bar if you don't have them on. Mine says hide it because I already have it on. So what does that give me? Well, it gives me this kind of access. So I can get to print up here in the quick access toolbar by clicking on this button, and it'll pop up, right? Or I can go over here to the big A, and we have print, and then it says plot. Like, why does it say that? Well, because in the years that have come along that AutoCAD's been around, we went from plotting things, as I mentioned last time, using pins electronically, and I told you it was really cool to watch too, because it's fun. Because you drew this over here, but I drew that last. Why is it doing it first? And then the stuff I drew first, it's doing now. Wait a minute. But it's really cool because you didn't know where it was going to go. And it was really fun because, you know, it was like having a good time without getting wasted or anything, you know? Which there's a good thing about that. You know, don't necessarily need to be wasted, okay? And still have fun. I couldn't imagine, yeah, that'd be like, you know, watching the wall and, yeah. Anyway, I digress. As you can tell, I didn't get into that kind of stuff, and it's okay. Moving along. So, plot. Plotting's fun, can be. So you can click on plot there. How many other options do we have? Well, if you have the pull-down menu, you can also get to it here. You can go to plot and pop it up as well. So there's about 5 different ways. Oh, and you could type it in, right? P-L-O-T. No problem. Or what else could you do? What's the shortcut for print? Control what? P. Yeah. Control P as in Paul. Or P as in print. So there you go. All kinds of ways you can get here. Stuff you didn't really care to know, but now you do. All right, so moving along again, it comes up to this lovely box here. It says plot. It says model. Well, model is where we're at. Good. Okay. So then what are our options? So our options are we have a printer or we don't have a printer. So we don't have anything set up yet. And remember I mentioned something about if you were to set your printer kind of a default as a PDF file, AutoCAD PDF file actually. If you use that driver and then you use your file wherever on whatever computer, AutoCAD's not going to be looking for a printer that doesn't exist. Like, you can't access my printer here at school. It's on a different network. You can't get them here unless you have IT access, I guess. Or you're a hacker or something, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so what I like to do is I set it for AutoCAD PDF. And I use the general documentation one. Now, if somebody was watching this at home and says, well, I don't have that KCTCS bunch of stuff on there. Well, no, you wouldn't because you're not here. Those are just available on these computers here in the lab. You know, I've got P1s, a big printer, P2s, LaserJet over there by my desk, closer to my desk. P3 doesn't exist at this time. P4 is that printer. No, I'm sorry, that's P2. So the P2 is closer to you. P4 is closer to me at my other desk. And P5 is another wide format inkjet printer. More useless knowledge for you. And then, of course, I have Follow You Printing, which is the copier across the hallway. But that's just stuff I have here. You might have something else, like at home I've got an Office Jet that pops up because it's wireless. If I'm plugged into my laser, I have a laser just like this one at home that might pop up. But the thing is, when you set up a printer, set up something that's generic. And PDF is about as generic as you can get. And I don't know why mine didn't say. I told you to pick that. I told you pick that. Maybe I waited too long and it decided to quit. So anyway, AutoCAD, PDF, general documentation. Got it? Okay. Done beating that dead horse. Okay, so what else does she talk about? Well, there's a lot of different options on here. So you've got the size of paper. So what's the paper size? ANSI A is 8.5 by 11. That's a pretty standard size. That's going to be what we use, whether we have it set up as a inch piece of paper or a metric piece of paper, which is a little bit bigger. It's still set up to an 8.5 by 11. So I could use that. That would be fine. Because then if I were to send it to somebody and they wanted to print it, it'd pop right up. Plus, when we do a preview, it'll pop up on my piece of paper and I can see if it looks okay. But you always want to do a print preview. That's very important. Never just hit the print button and hope it's right. Always do a print preview. There's a thing that's been around for a long time called WYSIWYG. And you're like, what the heck is that? What you see is what you get. Well, what you see is not what you always get. But if you can do a print preview, maybe you can figure out if what you see is what you're going to get. And that is how you can figure it out. Because print preview is going to give you the most accurate what it's going to look like when you send it to a PDF or a real printer. Okay. So then you come down. So if you start at the top of the screen, you've got like a page setup. You could have that in there. You've got your plotter, your printer driver here. Of course, it's got properties if you wanted to mess with it. There's PDF options you can mess with once you set it as a PDF. You've got paper size, and then you've got options down here. So you've got display, extents, limits, and window. Okay, well, she kind of goes through all the different things that you can do. So let's say it's on display, and then the other thing down below that is center the plot. So we want to stick it on the middle of our paper. Well, as you can see, it says also to the right there in the middle, it says fit to paper. Okay. And scale is custom, so that would be fit. And my units are in inches. Well, if you look at the book, she wants you to use a template that she created that's already metric set up. So how do we make this work? Well, you change the units up here where it says plot scale, change those units to metric, mm. And if you look at it, that's what she did. If I can read it here. She did that. She also had it set to extents, and then she says do a preview, do a display, do a limit, and so on. So that's what we're going to do. I may not do it in the same order she does, but that's what we're going to do. So let's do a preview of display. All right, so that's what's going to happen if I click on display. And that's basically what I'm looking at. So if I didn't zoom all or zoom extents and I was zoomed in, that's what you get, whatever you were zoomed into. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape, or you can hit the little X up here, either way. If I wanted that version of it, I would go ahead and hit the little printer up there and it would go to where we want. All right, so the next option is going to be extents. So we'll do extents. We'll do a preview. Okay, there's our extents. Now the only reason that the circle is shown is because our screen still allows us to see the circle, even though we have it set to 297 by 210. All right, so we're going to hit the X there. Now we're going to go to limits. Well, see, extents will actually show everything that's on the screen. It's almost like an all thing. Now then when you go to limits, now it should be different. So let's look at limits. Preview and no circle, because our limits are set to the size of our rectangle. Okay? All right, so I'm going to hit escape, go back here, and then it says window. Then it says window. All right, so window will just do, like I could zoom in and out, right? She says use the pan, so pan, you can either hit P, enter, or you can just use the middle mouse button and hold it down, and you can move things around and make people dizzy and seasick and all that fun stuff. And you can zoom in and out and in and out, and my wife's already telling me to stop because I made her seasick. Okay, motion sickness is just not a fun thing. And I feel bad for people that are sensitive to that. Anyway, so let's do a window. I haven't done the window yet, so I'm going to do a window myself. And if I do a window of that and then I do a preview, notice that right here on this little graphic here, it's kind of saying, hey, there's nothing that's been cut off. And so that's what it would look. It looks similar to the extents, kind of. It's not exactly the same, but see, this is stuff that people don't learn. And when you're in model space, it's like, well, there's nothing really defined. There's no exact area. I mean, I have my limits set. But if I want to give a certain, picture of something to somebody, then having a window version where you can just do a window and pick it is kind of cool. Like I said, there's a guy I follow on Facebook that says that's pretty cool. Anyway. All right, let's see. Preview. So we did all these previews, and then we'll cancel that. All right, so we did all that, and it said, then she shows a little picture of changes what you plot, and then she's already set it to metric, and this is set to landscape, and up here where it says plot style, table, pin assignments. If you had things in color and you wanted to print out in black and white, because does yellow look good on a white piece of paper? No, not so good. Not as nice as black or maybe a dark green or something. Or even a dark blue or whatever, right? Darker colors, right? Well, we want to use colors. And if I'm going to send it to somebody, they don't need to see the colors. They just need to see the line types, the line weights, and all those things, and what it is I want them to look at. And here's what it is. So I will change that from none. Now, we don't need to do that here because we don't have anything in color. But if I did, I could pick monochrome, and it would make everything black that was a line or geometry on the screen or text or anything. Everything would print black and white on a white background, and that would be fine. So that would be the only thing that I always try to tell people, yeah, you should set it on monochrome just because. Now, if I had something set up that I wanted in color, then yeah, you'd leave it as none and let it print in color and move on. There's also people have their own plot styles that you can save, and like I had a guy that was a civil guy, and he had pen settings that he wanted me to use to print out his drawings because he didn't have a printer big enough to print what he needed to print yet. And so he sent me his plot file, and I would use it to print off his stuff. And I didn't have to worry about going in and making any weird settings. He had his own settings, and I just loaded that file and boom, went to work. But we're not worried about that. I'm going to leave it on monochrome just because I can. All right, so then she says on step 3, pan the drawing so the rectangle's in the center of the drawing area and the circle is slightly off the screen. Repeat step 2. Notice this time the display printing gives you a different result. Well, yeah. So if I hit cancel, and then let's see, let's do that. So then if I went to plot, PL, no, here we go. I guess you just have to type in PL with a T. But anyway, so then if I were to do display, and it's always good to just set this stuff. Now what I should have done is hit apply to layout, then I wouldn't have to change so much stuff. Let's see, display, that's good, center of the plot. Change that to millimeters. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply to layout just so that it keeps it. And then I'll hit preview. Okay, so that's all it sees. Is that right there? Because the lines that were in the top and the bottom, they aren't in the picture, so it's not going to show up. It just shows up what's on, what you're looking at, basically. All right, escape. And cancel. All right, so just to give you an idea of how that works. All right, printing to scale. All right, so the next thing she wants you to do is she wants you to, I'm going to do a zoom all, Z enter, A enter. And she wants you to move this circle over here. All right, so let's see what she has. Move. Place your cursor over the circumference of the circle, click your left mouse button, hit enter. Of course, that's after you put in M for move. Now, what are you supposed to do when you put in anything, type in anything in the computer? You have to hit space bar, enter key, right click, hit enter. Some form of enter. And if you use a space bar, that's even better. Try to get people converted over to using that space bar. Because you don't have to hit just enter, you can hit space bar, as long as you're not in text. All right, it says move the circle anywhere inside the rectangle. M or move, select objects, place your cursor over the circumference of the circle and click your mouse button. Oh yeah, that's what you would do. So you click on move. Now, if you type in M for move, you have to hit enter. If you don't, and you click on move up here at the top, it automatically goes, and you pick your circle, then you hit your space bar or enter, and now it says select a point inside the circle. Move the circle inside the rectangle and click your left mouse button. So she's just saying, well, I don't care where you grab it, but most of the time, oh wait, I don't have any object snaps. That's why she wanted to turn it off. Well, that's no fun. I like object snaps. I guess we'll play along. All right, so far dynamic has not really come into play. Now, you notice anything different about the screen? You may not have, but nothing shows up where my mouse is. Like if I type in M with dynamic on, M pops up there, and then it'll give me a list of commands to go from. It gives me the list down in the command line when I had dynamic off. So you might understand one reason why I like dynamic being on, because it gives me more information. So see, there's, it's like, what do you want to do? Well, you have to look down here where it says move, specify, base point, or displacement. Okay, well, I'm just going to guess where the center of it is. And then I'm going to move it over here. Now, I'm going to make me a nice rising sun Japanese flag, I guess. Because that's what it reminds me of. And I have nothing against the Japanese, so there you go. I mean, you could put it wherever you want. So, am I going to count it off if you don't stick it dead center on there? No. You can move it wherever you want. So if you pick on it, notice that I pick on it. Now when I pick on it without being in a command, see, I could have done this without going into the move command, because then it gives me all this lovely stuff, like it gives me the center of it. So then I could pick the center, and then I could do this, shift right click, and I could say, you know what, I'm going to use the geometric center of this thing. And then I could hover over this guy right here and pick it, and now it's dead center in that box. So, I still did it anyway. Object snaps are pretty nice. Makes things accurate. Is accurate important in engineering and drafting and design? Very. What would happen if we didn't have accurate? Things would not work, period. They would fall apart. I saw a video on, I guess doom scrolling or not, I don't know. It was on Facebook on the videos thing. And they showed how they changed the wheel on a locomotive. What do you mean? Well, actually, tire. You didn't know they had a tire, did you? You think of a tire as something made out of rubber. Well, a tire can be made out of steel. Now, think about it. What? You've got a piece of steel that's a center, like a hub, right? And then you have this other thing that has basically an L shape or maybe kind of a T shape, if you were to cross-section it, that goes on. Actually, it's more like an L, because that just helps it stay on the tracks. So it has like an L shape, right, for a profile. And it fits over this hub. Well, you don't want it to slip, right? If you hit the brakes, you want the thing to stop, right? Or if you want to go, you don't want it to just sit there and spin. You want it to go. How do they do that? And you're like, I don't know. Tell me. I want to know now. So what you do is you have this thing called interference fit. So you actually warm up, you take this ring that's a bunch of torches, and you heat up this tire, this metal ring, and as it expands, you get out the big hammer and you beat it off. Because it's not going to be real big difference, but it's going to move. And you got to not burn yourself, right, in the process. So it sounds like fun. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And then what's the opposite thing? You heat up the ring again while it's not on the tire, or the tire that's not on the rim. You heat it up, and while it's being heated, without burning yourself, you have to kind of tap it all the way around and get it back on. And then you let it cool, and when it cools, it gets smaller and it sticks to it. That's how you do bearings also, like shafts and bearings. You either have to freeze one of them or make one of them warmer to get them to slide in so that they lock together. They don't have any kind of pins or keyways or keys to hold them on. And that's called interference fit. So you just learned something that you probably didn't care about, but it's really cool. I thought it was neat. So anyway, we have a circle in the middle of our rectangle. Can you say squirrel? Yeah, what's up?
How can you get it to let go of it? I've made the rectangle 3 times, and I can't get it to let go of it.
Did you hit enter?
Yeah, if I hit enter, it doesn't.
Does it go back into it? You hit escape?
Okay, all right, here you go.
Yeah. So when in doubt, and when frustrated, and when you're spinning your tires, hit escape.
Okay.
And reset. That's just the best way. Because if you hit enter, you're just going to go back into wherever you were at.
Yeah.
Or something. So yeah, and if you have something selected like I do, to deselect it, just hit the escape button while you're not hovering over it. So move your cursor off of it and hit that. Now let me show you something why I like to have dynamic on. So if I type in M with dynamic on, I get something up here at my cursor. That's why I like dynamic. We have not done anything on this lovely drawing here that needed us to turn it off. Now, the object snaps, I like having them on. Why? Because I told you about the wheel on the locomotive that needs to not fall off or slip or whatever, because I need it to be accurate. So that's why I have those tools on. Now, there are times when the object snap gets in the way, and maybe I only want a specific one. And that's when, that's when you can do shift right click and pick the one that you want, or type it in. So like if you know you only want to look for the endpoint of something, or only the center. So let's say I want to move. M for move, enter. Select your object, enter. I can't pick that, right? But if I type in center, C-E-N, enter, and hover over it, I can pick the center of it, like that. Now, I don't know what the shortcut is for geometric center without like typing the whole thing in. So if I wanted to move it to the geometric center, then I would hit, so it says specify second point, so shift right click, and then I would go to geometric center, and now it's only looking for the geometric center of whatever it is I have on the screen, and I want that, and I'm going to stick it right there. So now I have a nice circle inside of a nice rectangle dead center. It's accurate. Okay. Beat that dead horse. Now what else do we have? Oh, text. So on the video that I have on the class for the print tutorial, I don't do the text, but you know what? I'm going to do it for here because I think it's good to know, because you haven't really used text yet. I just showed you what it was the other day. Remember we talked about it at the end. I was like, oh, wait, one more. Hang on. There's more. I got one more thing to show you. So what we did is we went on here, and you got multi-line and single-line text. Well, she wants you to use single-line text, and then it wants you to pick. So what I'm going to do, I don't care where you put your name, but I'm going to put it inside my circle. That's where I'm going to do it. Now, if you put it outside the circle, or as long as it prints whenever we do our PDF file, I don't care. So stick your name on there. Now, just to get practice, let's turn on our cap lock so that everything is capitalized like we want it. There's no lower cases for most of our stuff. The only thing that you can use lowercase lettering for are metric, thread, tolerances. Maybe some other metric tolerance where if it's internal, it's capitalized, or I think external is capitalized, internal is lowercase. And that's how you know what kind of a thread it is, whether it's internal or external threads. Something else you didn't care to know, but now you do. But 99% of the time, all of your text is going to be capitalized on all your drawings. So if you get in the habit of it, so if you get a review or feedback from me and it's in all caps, I'm not yelling at you. I got that comment too. And then they wanted to critique my grammar and stuff. And I'm like, really? Wow, I must have really ticked you off. For one, if you use lowercase, then I'm going to put all text should be in all caps and bold it right there, in all caps. Well, what if I just left it on, and maybe for a few drawings that I'm grading, or assignments, I may have things in all caps. I'm not yelling at you. I am showing you that this is how we write in CAD, in design, in engineering. So anyway, also, all right. So what do I want you to do? I'm going to put my name. I'm just going to put my first name. Right there. Oh wait, I didn't pick a starting point. You know what? I got on a sidetrack and didn't pick a starting point. How's that going to work? Well, it's not. So the starting point. Let's just pick a spot. So now it says specify height. Guess what? This is a metric drawing. If I use the 0.2 height, is it going to be very big? Think about it. 0.2 on metric. That's 0.2 of a millimeter. That's how thick each layer is on a 3D printer for the default setting. 0.2 of a millimeter. That's pretty thin. That's pretty small. I don't think that's going to show up very well. Now, it'll be on there, but it'll be tiny, tiny, tiny. So, pay attention. First of all, you pick where you want it. You pick where you want it. The next question it asks you is, what's the size? If it doesn't ask you the size, then you already have something set, which is good. And then it's going to ask you the next question that's very important. So, to answer this question, we want 3, enter. Now it says, specify the rotation angle of your text. Now, if you remember from the other day, if you were here, oh, passive aggressive. I mentioned the other day on the video that it's going to ask you what the rotation angle is, and pretty much 99% of the time, we want to be able to read it left to right. So our angle is usually going to be 0. And that's what the default is, because it says specify rotation angle of text is 0. So you say enter, and now you're ready to type. So then now I can type my name. And I turn the cap lock on, so it's in all caps. So I'm just going to type my name right here. If I didn't like where it was at, I could back up, and I could click in another spot and move it. If I like that better, yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay. Well, when I'm done typing my name, I need to hit enter once, and then I need to hit it again for it to save it. What happens if I hit escape before I hit enter twice? You probably just lost what you typed in. Why do I know that? Because I've done it. I got in a hurry and hit escape instead of hitting enter like I'm telling you to do, and here a dummy me, and oh well. Then I got to retype it. There's my consequences. So anyway, remember when you do text, if it's regular single line text, you have to enter twice to get it to save it and enter it in and be done. All right, so I've got my name on there. If I didn't like where it was at, you know, I could zoom up right here, and I could pick on a little grip right here, and I could move it around and zoom up or zoom out, and maybe I like that better. I don't know. I mean, you know, I showed you some other commands the other day. I mean, we could go in and we could scale it, you know, or, you know, whatever we wanted to do. Or if I didn't like the height of it and I wanted a specific height, remember, you could always pick on it, right-click on it, and go to Properties, and then it comes up over here. It says the height is 3, the width factor is 1. Well, let's say I thought it was too skinny. I could say 1.5, and I could change how it looks there. That looks horrible. Let's put that back on 1. Maybe I didn't like the height. Maybe I thought, you know what? At this scale, I think that's too small. Maybe I need it to be 6. I want it to be bold and emphasized and more like a note. So anyway, what do I want you to do? You can leave it at 3. It's fine. I'm just showing you how you can edit things. Giving you a little bonus that you may or may not want to know. Well, while I'm at it, let me go back and fix that. There we go. And after you move off of Properties, then you can hit Escape to deselect. And remember, pan, you can zoom in and out with your scroll button. You can pan by holding down the middle mouse. You can also type in P, enter. And then you use your left mouse button to do it. And then you just hit enter or spacebar to finish it out. Okay. So the next thing that she has is printing it to a PDF. So I was supposed to do this before we even started talking about drawing commands. So I completely whiffed that one, but that's okay. Now you've got it, now you know how to do it. And I'm gonna basically do all of the assignments today. So if you figured out how to use the commands, then you can watch this next video or do these while we're doing it. Go back and fix things as you go, and you can do all the assignments. Now, why would I do that? Why would I just give you all the assignments? Do you know how to do them yet? No. Unless you've had some AutoCAD, like some people that are in here. And that's okay. Doesn't matter. But hopefully it helps you to get through it, and then you can be like, I don't see what he did. And see, then eventually you may not want to, like, well, let me try this one without looking at the video. Or you pause the video and you go ahead and finish drawing it. And you're like, well, that's pretty cool. And besides, chapter 2 is beginner stuff. Now, I am going to throw you under the bus and not put all of the answers for some of the stuff, because I want you to figure it out. That's for the actual points, for the relative and polar coordinates. That part, we're going to talk about it, but you might have to watch the video a few times to actually get it all, if I decide to tell you. We'll see. Anyway, so what is it that I want you to do for this? Well, I want to get a PDF of this file. How do we do that? Well, I've already showed you how to do that, because you're going to go up here to that printer right here and click on it. You've already got PDF set, hopefully, because I clicked apply to layout. If you don't, fix that. The next thing you need to do is make sure that you've got fit to paper. Make sure it says 1 and mm for your units. If not, click on the little thing, pick mm for metric. I don't care if you have this as monochrome or not, that doesn't matter. And then what I want you to do is, I want to do a window. Or here, let's do extend. Let's see what extents looks like. Let's hit preview. Okay, there's extents. So remember last time we did extents, and what happened? All we had was a rectangle, right? Well, now we've got a rectangle with a circle in the middle of it with our name. So that'll work. So do zoom extents, or if you want to do a window, you can do a window. But basically what I want is something that looks similar to this. So you figure out how you want to make that happen. So you could hit, let's see, extents. We could try display, and we could see what preview looks like on display. All right, well, that's a little small, but it's still the same thing I'm asking for, right? It is, yeah. Now, that would be the lazy way out, because that's the default. You're like, are you calling me lazy? Hey, if the shoe fits, maybe Mr. Doty's feeling better. I don't know. Just needed to teach. I guess that's what's wrong. All right, so anyway. What do I want you to do? I want you to give me this as a PDF file. How do I want it? Well, let's go window, and we'll do click window again, and I'm going to zoom, and I'm going to put a window around it like that. Or I could click on window, and I could turn on my object snaps down here, and I can grab this corner to this corner and then do a preview and see what happens. Hey, that looks pretty good. And when I'm done, I can hit the print button, and it's going to say, hey man, what do you want to do? Well, we're saving it as a PDF, and I've already given it a name. So, and I'm just going to leave this like so and hit save. Well, I got print tut on here, so that's correct. So save. Okay, and then yours will probably come up in not this. Yours will probably come up in Edge, because I think Edge is the default on those computers. Whatever your default PDF viewer is, it'll pop up. Okay, now how do you turn it in? Very carefully, right? All right, so I'm gonna go back up here to student preview for you. Do my little student preview. All right, so I go down here, I find under week 4, and I scroll down where it says print tutorial. So I click on print tutorial. I click on view those instructions. And there's my video. So, am I going to count off if you don't turn it in exactly the way we did it in class? No, because some of you may have worked ahead and did this, and that's okay. So that's fine. Like I said, I need to update my video, and I give you all the information. Let's see. When it pops up, set your printer to this. Paper size should be set to 8.5 by 11. Set the print style to monochrome. Set the print area to window. Oh, I do have that on there. Make a window around what you want to print. Scale should be set to scale to fit. Preview the print. Always do this to see what you will print or what's going to print. If everything looks good, click on the printer icon in the top left. Choose where you want it to be saved. Name the file, the name of the assignment. Save the file. You now have a completed assignment. Attach completed assignment file to be in the PDF form to the assignment link below. Submission. So you click on the little attachment thing. Let's see, I think it's under document. Oh wait, no, it's under the other document. I don't know which documents it's under. Let me see. I guess I could just type in PR. PRINT, print, tut, 9. Aha, PDF file. That's what I'm looking for. Print, tut, 9/11/25, MOP. PDF. Okay, and I'm going to hit open, and I'm going to hit save, and let's see. And then I'm going to hit submit, and then it tells me, are you sure you want to submit? Yes, I do, and then I hit close. And now I have turned in my assignment. Yay! Woohoo! Now, is this the only PDF file that you're going to turn into me in this class? Yes, yes it is. It is the only one. If you give me any more PDF files, you will receive a not nice grade and a please turn in the correct file type or not correct file type. It may be in all caps too, by the way. You'll just have to not take it that way. Maybe I am trying to say, hey guy or gal, you weren't listening. So this is the only one. And then there's one other assignment that we're going to turn in from AutoCAD. That's a template file. And that's it. Everything else should have a .dwg as in George. As in, that's a good file. You know, GG. Anyway. So that's pretty much it for the print tutorial. Now, 1017. Okay. Now we're going to click. All right, so we're going to go back into AutoCAD. What do I need to do now? Okay, I did my PDF file. Maybe I need to save this again, right? Because it's going to ask you, it'll let you start a new one. But when you go to close out AutoCAD, it's going to say, hey, do you want to save your changes? So you have to think about it. Do I want to save my changes? Like when I grade your stuff, do I really want to save the changes I made, which may have just been zooming in and out? Maybe. Maybe I used yours as an example. Maybe it was really awesome, and I said, you know what, I like that. I'm going to use that as an example. And then I made some changes to it, and then I probably should do a save as so that I can save it as something else. And then I'll hit the save anyway, just so that I know that maybe if I want to go back and use it. So anyway, long story short, hit save. Now what? Okay, I started off with the basic ACAD DWT template, right? So if I hit plus up here on top, it's going to pull up basically just a plain file. If I hit plus. All right, so do I give you time to do the print tutorial, or do I just keep on going? Well, considering I have a bunch of stuff to grade, and you guys can do this whenever you need to do it, either now or later or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and whip through as much of this as I can, and you can go back and watch the footage as needed. Or you can step through with me. And if you're going along with me and I'm going too fast, what do you need to do? Ask me to turn on the brakes. Or if we were in Fast and Furious, we'd grab the parking brake, the hand brake, and we go and we do us a, do some donuts or something fun. All right, so anyway, drawing 2. So that is the tutorial for the print tutorial. That is the first assignment that you basically do for this chapter. And then you scoot on over to 2-145. Now, do I want you to draw this twice? That depends on you. Do I want you to write down both sets of coordinates? Yes. Yes, I do. Why do I want you to write down the coordinates? Are you going to continue to do these coordinate things the whole time that you're drawing in here? No. But these first 3 drawings, if I can get you to understand what we're doing later on when you get to Mr. Frog and you need to do a polar coordinate because you can't get it to do anything else, you might know how to do it. That's the goal. Okay? And that's pretty cool. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do 2-1, explain what I want. I might give you the answers for part of it. We'll see. So what does it say? It says, write down the relative Cartesian coordinates needed to create the following object in the direction indicated on the figure. And then it says, for the one on the bottom, it says write down the relative polar coordinates. So since it's relative, should I have my dynamic turned on? You should be vigorously shaking your head. Yeah. Should I turn my object snaps on? Yeah. Very much. So, I've watched a lot of cartoons in my life. Time. Sometimes that's better than watching TV because, the news sucks. But anyway.
I was watching Instagram yesterday, and the activist guy.
Yeah.
He got shot. I didn't know it was real, and then I started looking it up. And
It's everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I go and I turn on the cartoons. Not because of escapism, just because there's just a lot.
I love the process.
There's a lot out there. The main thing you got to remember when you look at something is go check and make sure it's real.
Yeah,
because right now, there's so much out there that is not. I mean, you got all these AI videos of people, and you're like, what the heck? How'd they do that? It's like, there's a pig and a chicken, get on a trampoline, and it's got a video of it, and it looks real. My wife goes, that's AI. I went, that's not right. That's just not right. Come on now. So just remember, what you see is not what you always get, including the news. So make sure you check your sources and check what's happening. Because there are some bad things that happen in the world, and you should be informed. But then there's sometimes I just want to watch cartoons because, watching the coyote get hit by an animal sometimes makes you feel better. Violence in cartoons. I survived. I turned out okay. So, anyway, I digress. So moving along. So, dynamic on, yes. Object snaps on, yes. Polar on. Turn ortho, just turn the display of it off. Unless you want to play with it, that's fine. Just remember, you're going to be restricted to vertical and horizontal only. And you're going to go, well, no wonder Mr. Doty doesn't like this. Polar's so cool. You can just go whatever angle, it'll lock. And then you go and change it to the angle you want it to lock to, and you're in good shape. So, to add to the news comment, there were other things and other people that actually got shot up yesterday too. And unfortunately, that got drowned out in the melee of that one incident. So just remember, there's always more out there. Don't drink the Kool-Aid from one place. Just, yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. My wife's family gets a little. Like I said, I just want to watch cartoons. Yeah. World's messed up. Watch cartoons. Think about other things. Think about happy thoughts, you know, rainbows and unicorns, that kind of fun stuff. Animation, cool stuff. Design stuff, make things. That's my happy place. All right, so what do we do on 2-1? All right, well, first of all, what do I need to figure out? What units am I using, right? Now, does that mean I need to go into the Units tab and set units? No. You will not need to do that. If I type in units and I hit enter and I click on decimal and it says architectural, engineering, fractional, and scientific, do you see metric anywhere on there? No. Why? Because it doesn't exist. AutoCAD could care less. Okay? Give you an example. So the limits on this, the default limits are 12 wide by 9 tall, right? This object is 60 long and 30 tall if I were to use a rectangle. Okay, when I'm setting my limits, L-I-M-I-T-S, the lower corner is always 0, 0, enter. The upper corner is the one I want to adjust. All right, I could put in 60 by 30, but what if I wanted it to have a little extra room, like a little give, just in case it doesn't want to draw outside of that, and maybe I just need more area. You're just giving it an estimated, this is how much room I'd like to use of your infinite space, Mr. AutoCAD. And it says, oh, okay, sure. Now I know where to zoom in and you can draw. So I'm going to say, you know what, and I'd like to make a box. I like to make a square because it's easy. Why have to come up with 2 different numbers? Or come up with a formula that comes up with 2 different, KISS, keep it stupid simple. It's not keep it simple stupid. Because then you think people are actually insulting you. No, what it means is keep it simple. Don't complicate things. And everybody's in the background going, would you move on? Okay, so what am I going to use? Do you have to use the same thing I do? No. Will you? Probably, and that's okay. Feel free to copycat all you want. But hopefully at some point you understand that, hey, I need to think about the size of my drawing, and I need to adjust my limits to fit that, depending on if it's in metric or if it's in inches. So this one's 60 by 30. I'm going to put in 100, 100, enter, and then what? Well, if on the print tutorial you had to flip to the next page after she drew something, because what happens is, okay, if I don't do a zoom all, what happens? Okay, well, I'll go into line, enter, and I'm going to pick a random spot. Does it give me a point to start with? The definitive answer is no. So what do? Most of the time in CAD, you just pick a spot. Now, when you move into 3D modeling, it gets a little more precise because it wants to know where the origin is and where your geometry is related to the origin. AutoCAD could care less. It just knows exactly where you put those points in there and you're good. And how they're relative to each other. That's the important part. All right, so I'm just going to pick a starting point and notice that I did not zoom all like I should have. Okay, and if I were to move this up, I could just type in 30 and it would draw me a line up 30. Now, is that going to help me get my coordinate? No, it's not. Because I just typed in 30 and pointed it up. Is that a relative coordinate? No. What is a relative coordinate? The relative coordinate would be, and you have to put the @ symbol when you write it down. Even if you have dynamic on, and I promise you, I won't beat this into your head for the rest of them. Just this first one, okay? So just sit there and take it. Be all right. You have to write down the @ symbol so that I know that you understand that it's relative. AutoCAD, if you have dynamic on, doesn't care. But I still put in the @ symbol a lot of times just because I want to make sure it knows what I want. So if I go back and forth, it's just because this is just me. Okay? But dynamic is on. Object snaps is on. Polar is on. Polar is set to this little thing that looks like a weird looking duck or a circle with an angle on it. I have mine set to 15 degrees so that I can go every 15 degrees until I get to 90. And like I said, if I wanted to, I could just type in 30 and draw a line. And that would be okay. But does that give me my coordinates? No, it doesn't. So what do I need to do? I need to slow down and think. What do I want to do that for? What's good with thinking? Mr. Doty and his sarcasm. He kept going on about sarcasm. I don't know what his problem was with that. I guess you just pick up on it. So how do I go up 30? What would my coordinate be? Am I going, is X, which way does X go? It goes left and right, correct? I didn't give you enough time to answer. Sorry. Good teaching strategy. You're supposed to give time for the students to give you an answer. You'll figure it out. So that would be 0, right? Because X comes first. So if I type in 0, then I put comma. And then it said, then what do I need to go? I need to go up 30, right? So it would be 0, comma 30. So X is 0, Y is 30. Now, when I write it down, I need to write down at 0, comma 30. So let me hit escape. Let me go back and draw a line again. So if I go to line, pick a spot, and I do at, it knows that I'm going to give it a relative coordinate, and I'm going to type in 0, comma 30. Enter. Uh-oh, went off the page. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have a fit. Oh no, Mr. Doty, what do I do now? Well, this is because I didn't do a zoom all or a zoom extents. So remember, look at what units you have, set your limits accordingly, then do a zoom all if needed. That's all you got to do. Or zoom extents. All right, moving along. Zip-a-doo, zoom out, pan. Now, since I set my limits up correctly, it'll let me zoom in and out, and it's happy. All right, so I don't have to move my cursor anywhere because I'm going to draw it relative coordinates. So now I need to go to the right 40. So X is going to be 40 because I'm going to the right. What happens if I put in negative 40? What direction am I going to go? It's going to go left. So negative is left and negative is down. Positive is up, positive is right. So I guess if you're always going in the right direction, then you're a positive person. If you're always going in the left direction, you're a negative person, I guess. Just kidding. Anyway, No, it just means that's the direction that you told it you wanted to go. So I want it to go 40 to the right. So I'm going to type in at 40, comma, 0. All right. What happens if I mess up? Do I have to start all over again? No. Don't panic. Grab your towel. Remember the back of the book says don't panic. It's all good. Probably don't know where that's from. The answer is always 42. Just saying. And the earth is really just a big computer run by mice. Douglas Adams was a cool guy. Adams. Anyway, so went over 40 or 30 or something. 40. Yeah, there we go. Now we want to go down. So what if I mess up? You hit U, enter, and it goes back a space. If I typed in at, and I went, oh, I need to go down 30. All right, so that's 0, comma 30, enter. Oh, shoot, I went the wrong direction. Oh, I just hit U, enter. Oh, now I'm back to where I was. Cool. You can use that in any command, pretty much. So if you ever goof up, don't panic. Grab your towel. The answer is 42, and it's okay. Hit U, enter, and you're good. All right, so I want to go down. I need to go down. Actually, I didn't need to go down 30. I need to go down 20 because I got to do some math there. Whoopsie. So I'm going to go at 0, comma, negative 20. And there's my point. So then I need to go to the right, which is positive in this case. And I need to go 20. So you take 60 minus 40 is 20. And so then I would type in at 20, comma, 0. And then I need to go down 10. So I'm going to go at 0, comma, negative 10 because I'm going down. All right, now that I'm here, there's two options. I can hit C for close because I've continually gone through this whole thing, or I can type in the relative coordinate. What do I want you to write down? I want you to write down the relative coordinate. I don't want you to put, oh, I hit C for close. Nope, 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 nope. Next point, right there, at negative 60, comma, 0. And then enter, and then you can hit enter to finish out the command. Always hit enter to finish out a command. Okay, so if I were going to draw this and use relative polar coordinates, I would start here, and then I would definitely put in the at symbol, because then I need to have a distance and an angle. So I'm going up, I'm going 30, so I type in 30, shift, comma, to get my angle symbol, and then what's vertical? So we're starting off with 0 over here on the eastern seaboard. We do 90 to go straight up. Go out to the west coast is 180, and if we want to go South America, that would be 270. Or to go down to Miami would be 270. And every time I think of that, I think of Bugs Bunny saying, Miami Beach. Anyway, and then he's, in the Arctic, and he goes, I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Oops. So how do we figure this out? Okay, well, I need to go up, so it's 90. So I type in 90. And then I need to go to the right, which is 0. So I do at 40, shift, comma, and 0. And I need to go down. Down is 270. So shift at 20, comma, to get my angle, 270. My distances will always be positive when I'm putting in a polar coordinate. If you're putting in a relative coordinate, a relative just Cartesian coordinate, x and y, you have to determine whether it's positive or negative depending on which direction you go. All right, I need to go to the right 20. So at 20, shift comma to get my angle, 0. Then I need to go down 10 to C. So shift at. So shift 2 gets my at, 10 for my distance, shift comma gets my angle. I need to go down, which is 270 or not 2700. What happens if I put in 2770? Do you know what it does? In its little brain, it goes around until it gets to 2770 degrees. For real, not kidding. I should have left it and see what happened. Okay, and then the last one I need to do is I need to go 60 to the left. So at 60 angle, and then I need to go to the left, which is 0, 180, Grant. 180, not 0. You want to go to the right? Oh, there you go. Now, is that how I would have drawn it? No, but I have 30 years plus experience on top of you, so I wouldn't draw it that way. But this is how I want you to draw it. I want you can draw it twice if you want to, if it helps, it's fine. Or you can draw it once if you can just put in the information. So somewhere then, you've got options. You can either go over here to the class and you could click on, well, let's see. You could go down here and you could click on 2-1. And then after I save my drawing file, you can come down here, click on View Instructions. And then you could type in, you could start typing in your coordinates. So I guess that was at, I went up, so let's see, that's 0, comma, let's see, is it 30? Yeah. All right. And next point was at, and I got to go to the left, to the right, so it's 40, comma, 0, and so on for that. And then I would go and put in my relative polar coordinates. Now, what's another way you can do it? Well, we've already learned how to use Microsoft Word. So then I could go and do this. I could go to Microsoft Word, and I could pick on a blank document, and I could go and I could put them on there. There's an option number 2. What's the third option? Third option is you write them down on a piece of paper, you take a picture of that piece of paper, and you upload that picture file and attach it along with your drawing. That would be an option. And then what is the final option for doing this? I should offer bonus points. Why should you offer bonus points? Well, if you took the time and you did this and went, I'll go up here to text, I'll go to either one, single line or multi-line text, let's just say single line. And I picked a spot and I picked it right here. And it says, what's the specified height that I want to use? Well, this is a metric drawing, correct? Remember I said 0.2 is really tiny? What size did we use on the print tutorial? We used 3. So I hit 3. And let's see how big it is. So I hit 3, enter, angle is always 0, and then I could do my at. And what did I say the first one was? It was going to be 0, comma, 30. And then I could do at 40, comma, 0. Then at at, and then that was going to be 0, comma, negative 20, at 20, comma, 0, at 0, comma, negative 10, at negative And then when I'm done, I hit enter. And there's my coordinates on my drawing. Pretty cool, huh? To me, that's the easier version. As long as you set your text height to 3, use single line text, gives you practice with text. But now I'm showing you 3 different ways you can turn it in. Oh, and I accidentally gave you the answers. Oh my gosh. Anyway, do you have to draw it twice? No, you could. Start again with your dimension text, single line text, and you could pick another line to start. 3 is the height, 0, and then start off with your polar one, right? So then it's 30 angle 90. And then you do the rest of them there. And you're done. Once you get all that done, save it, right? So then I click on save. It says you haven't saved this. Oh, I haven't, darn. Well, let's do this. What do we want to call it? Okay, I'm going to call it P2-1. And then, as you can tell, I've kind of put dates behind all these. And I'm going to do 9/11/25. You don't have to put a date. As long as it says P2-1, you'll be in good shape. And now I've saved my assignment. And what can I do now? I can go back over here to here. I can click on the little attachment thing. I can go down. You know what? I'm just going to type in P-1. And apparently I didn't save it here. Okay. Well, maybe it's under the ones on the machine here. We'll try documents. And we'll type in, oh, you know, it helps if you actually put the right thing. You got to remember what you called it. P-1, right? It helps when you remember what you're doing. Oh, look at that. There it is. So I was in the right spot. So P2-1, that's one that I need. 2/11? No. 9/11. Today is 9/11. Heavy things happened a few years back. Save. And so now I can turn it in. If you needed to turn in a Word document or wherever you did your coordinates, it's fine. I gave you 3 options. Type it in here, take a picture of it, put it on Word, or put it on your drawing. Make sure you save it. And then attach the file or files that you need here, hit submit, hit close, and you have now turned in this assignment. Boom. Okay. And I probably will give you bonus points if you put, whether you care for bonus points or not, but I'm going to give you bonus points just because you took the time to put the text on there, on your drawing. And I think that's pretty cool that you took the time and you did that. Maybe that was your way of being lazy. You're like, well, man, I don't want to have to write this down. But it's also going to help you remember how to go through the points. Which way did I go here? Which way did I go there? Well, if you draw it while you're doing the points, that's fine. But you'd still need to write them down, or at least think about them. Oh, how else could you figure it out? Let's see. Well, you remember this little thing down here? If I make this a little bigger, this is our command line. If you come over here to the right-hand side over here, look at that. I've got all kinds of little things I can see where I typed in. Oh, look at that. I typed in this, I typed in this, I typed in this, and I went, oh, wrong direction. So then I went in, I hit undo, and then I typed in that one, and so on. Well, you just have to remember what you did, if it was right or not, and then, you know, here's the color ones. Oh, pretty cool. Yeah, not bad at all. So that's how you can do that. And then I'm just going to grab this and drag it back down. Now, if your command line is still small, remember, if it looks like this, all you got to do is grab it, drag it down here to the bottom, and then I make it like 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there, lines tall, and that way I can see what's going on in AutoCAD. Okay, 12 minutes. How many can I do in 12 minutes? Let's see. Probably one. Let's see. Set, there's that. Drawing 3, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to call it P2-2. And then I'm going to put my normal. Okay. This one's in inches. That's nice. That means I don't have to mess with my limits, right? Exactly. So I looked at the units, determined that it's in inches, determined that I don't need to change my limits. So I'm good to go. So how the heck do I draw this thing? Well, it wants me to write down the relative coordinates. So I'm going to have to do some math. Oh no, that's scary. I got to do math. Well, let's draw us a line. So I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to move it up. And so I need to go up 3.25. Well, I could just type in 3.25 and point it up and that would be good. But that doesn't give me a coordinate, does it? No, it doesn't. So I need to figure out what the coordinate is. Well, since I'm going up and not left and right, at, wherever it went, there it is, at, so it's 0, 3.25. All right, I'm going to move my cursor over here out of the way. All right, so now it says I need to go up and over, but I've got my horizontal dimension is 4, so I know it's going to be 4, something. Well, then I have to do the math. So I have to take 325 from 450. And that leaves what, 125? Something like that. So let's see if that looks right. So then what would I type in? Okay, I do at. And why am I typing in the at symbol? Because I want you to just get in the habit of doing it. Could I leave it off? Yeah, but see, when you write it down, you still have to give me the at symbol. You just give me the coordinates, I'm going to mark off. You put an at in front of it, that tells me that you know that they're relative. Okay, so we need to do 4, 1.25. All right, well, that's starting to look promising. Now I got to go down. How the heck much do I go down? So what do I need to subtract? Well, I'm going from the 450 down to this DE line. The DE line, if I come over and look for the extension line, and the dimension says 2.25. Okay, so it means I need to take 225 from 450, which at this point is nice because that's 2.25. So I need to go down 2.25. So I need to go at 0, negative 2.25. All right, well now I need to go over to the right. Well, I need to know the difference between the 4 and the 6.25, which is 2.25. So then I'm going to do my at 2.25, 0. Uh-oh. It doesn't like what I did. I forgot to put a comma. Well, that stinks. So what do? I'm going to hit the backup thing, and I'm going to type in, all right, I needed 225, right? I've got my at, yeah, 2.25, comma. Now it's happy, and then 0. There we go. So what happens if you accidentally forget to hit the comma? It'll turn red, give you a little red box. If you didn't have dynamic on, you might not realize that because, you know, red usually gets our attention. Gets a bull's attention apparently too. You just have to be faster than that person behind you, right? Especially with bears, bulls. How fast can you get across the field? Because the bull can make it in this time. I warned you. All right, so now I got to go up. So now what do I do? Well, I have to take the 225 from the 525, which should be 3. So I got to go up 3. So I'm going to do this, 0, 3. And then I got to go to the right. And 625 and 875 should be 2.5 if my brain's working today. So 2.5, comma, 0. At 2.5, 0. Now, see, sometimes if you don't put the at symbol in, it doesn't know what you want. So it helps to put the at symbol in so that it knows it's relative. Okay, now I got to go down. So I'm going to do at 0, comma, 525 minus. Now this is where people screw up. They think, oh, it's 225. No, you got to come over to the 175. Oh man, really? Now I got to do some math. Well, you know, we have a calculator over here, so we can just do 5125 minus 1.75 equals 3.5. Then you put it back over here, and so now what? Okay, have I typed anything in? Nope. So we're going to go at, and I need to go down. I said it was 3.5, so I got to go 0 on the x, comma, negative 3.5. Now, why do you not like that? Oh, okay, how about negative 3.5? All right, well, here, let's just hit escape. And I'm going to hit the button again and start back over. I guess because I clicked out of it, it didn't like it. So at 0, comma, negative 3.5. Okay, it's not red, so it's happy. Uh-oh. Oh, no, that's right. Okay, so if you do the math on this, you'll figure out that this is a 1.75 down and 1.75 to the left. So both of those numbers are positive or negative. We're going down and we're going left. So we're going to be negative Nellies on this one. So we're going to go negative on both of our dimensions. So we're going to do at negative 1.75, comma, negative 1.75. Because it is a 45-degree angle. Why? Because both legs are the same. That's how I know it's 45 degrees. Now, you could hit the close command, except that you started again, or I did, and so that won't work. You could also, with the object snaps on, pick the end point, but you'd be 1 point off. Don't you hate it when that happens? 1 point off. All right, so I need to go 7 to the left. So I do at negative 7, comma 0, and then I need to enter again to finish it out. So now I have to go back and write in my coordinates, figure them out. Well, since I drew it using the coordinates, I could go back and look in my command line down there, and I can find what I did. Now, I messed up, so I need to make sure that I, make sure my coordinates work, so I have to think about it a little bit. It's not too bad. All right, so I would do that, and I'd either put my coordinates on the drawing, give you extra points if you do, Or you can do it on Word or your text document or whatever you want. And it's all peaches and cream. And then you hit save so you don't forget. And there it is. All right, now it's 10:58, so I'm gonna wait till after lunch to start on the third one. The third one is the last one that you have to write coordinates on. And everybody said, amen. Thank you, Lord. So does that mean that you're gonna forget how to use relative coordinates and polar coordinates? No, hopefully not. Hopefully you'll remember to use them occasionally and appropriately as needed. That's the whole point of us doing these, because it's really helpful. I know it's annoying. You know what? It's annoying to me because I can draw it like in 3 seconds and to be done, right? See, basically, you know, if I went back to this one over here, 2-1, and I just hit line, and I could do this. I could say, you know what? Let me draw that one real quick. Real fast, real quick. I can get back there to that page. So all I do is I type in 30. I point my thing that way. I type in 40. I go down. I type in 20. I go that way. I type in 20. I go down. I type in 10. And I point this way. And I type in 60. Boom, done. That's how fast I can draw it. So that's how fast you could draw it without typing in all these coordinates. But if you needed those coordinates, they're very helpful. So when you get past the third one, you can use however you want, as long as you end up in Rome. I don't care how you get there. Okay? You can take the scenic route, like my father likes to do. Or you can take the interstate. You take an airplane, you take a sub or whatever gets you there, both, I don't care. As long as you end up in the same place with the right dimensions and use your object snaps, which we're going to talk about when I come back. All right, well, anyway, it's lunchtime. I'm going to kill this video, let it cycle so I can download it and stick it on my other class and enjoy lunch. And Evan, I'm going to cut this off. I'm just getting questions right now. Which I'd be happy to answer. I'm going to go ahead and kill this and kill the mic so I'm not bothering you.